Hello, everybody, and welcome to the ZLB podcast, my little corner of the internet, and your home to all the bullshit that we talk about in my little corner of the internet. Given how Twitter is becoming a cesspool of awfulness and just seems to not really run very well, uh, everyone needs their own little corner of the internet, and this one is mine. So, welcome to my podcast. I know it's a sad weekend for a lot of people, as a lot of people are ending their Christmas holidays and returning to work, even though kids tend to get, at least here in Australia, a little bit longer for their school holidays. They were the best times for me because it meant that either the parents were going back to work or they had given up on my shit and given up trying to spend time with me, and they'd take me to Video Easy to rent whatever movies and games I want so I could become a couch potato and sit under the air conditioner and play games all through summer. I'm sure if I maybe touched grass a little bit further back then, I'd be touching grass these days, but I didn't, and now here we are, and we have a podcast to do. So strap yourselves in for the ZLB podcast.
You'll definitely come across a lot of creeps.
I have all these cancelable opinions.
You guys keep boots at 60 feet.
That was a picture of my boots.
That's it, that's the title of the podcast. They're rock hard.
That's great advice.
All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome on in. We are joined today by myself, homeless Alati, also known as Zombies Love Bacon. I'm not actually homeless. I don't know what I look like at the moment. Just don't worry about it. Also joining us today, Shelby is here. Or is it
Hello.
Shelby AI? We're not sure yet.
I'm definitely an AI. I'm just questioning your fashion choices there.
Don't need to worry about it. Tame is also here today.
Yo, what's up?
And special guest, first time on the podcast, Ali's here.
Hi.
Another VTuber. They're multiplying. But yeah, hello everybody. In case people are wondering what I'm wearing a hat and glasses. It's not really strange at all. I don't know why people are making a big deal about it. It's not a big
You're wearing
deal.
sunglasses indoors.
Is that full con or full screen?
It's a good hat. Best in slot. I have been playing a lot of games and stuff at the moment. I haven't done much outside. So I don't even know anyone anymore that's be like, yo, it's summertime. I'm going to the beach, down the beach house, Yeah, not gonna see much of my home because it's summer. Everyone I know is like, fuck yeah, sun's out. That means we close the curtains and play some games. But yeah, hello everybody, welcome in. Ali, I know this is your first time on my podcast. Is this your first time on a podcast at all? Or
Yes, I've never been on a podcast before.
do you listen to podcasts?
Not very often, no. I was listening to I guess it's like a D&D podcast by a couple of people, but that was a long time ago.
Yeah, I went down a rabbit hole once of like doing you listen to your weekly episodes of D&D, which is fine at the principle, but each episode's 3-4 hours long each week, and it's like, and then you feel like you miss one, so then you're gonna listen to 8 hours the next week, and I got stuck in that. So as soon as that like campaign finished, I'm like, nah, I don't have time to listen to that many D&D podcasts. I love them though. I'd love to do one myself one day, maybe, but it's a lot of work. It's a lot of commitment. It's probably the key word
Definitely.
there.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to listen to. I don't think I ended up finishing listening to the campaign that I was, but it was really good. But yeah, first time I've actually been on a podcast. First time I've ever like really listened into a podcast as well. That isn't specifically D&D related.
Yeah, this is probably a good challenge for everyone here on the podcast because everyone loves a challenge, right, Shelby?
Totally, yes.
Yeah, it's very. So I got challenged to explain what this podcast is about. So Shelby, going first.
You want me to explain the podcast?
Yeah, someone comes up to you and goes, "Yo, you're in a podcast. What's the podcast about?"
Depends. Who's this person? Are they like a gaming person or just like one of my
Nobody you know.
coworkers?
You don't know.
It's a podcast that is a general multi-genre podcast where we cover a lot of day-to-day topics and trending topics.
That sounds terrible.
I just try and keep it wild. I get this question a lot. What am I gonna say about it if like a coworker asks me? Because they ask me, "What's your podcast about? And, like, do you talk shit about us on it?" It's like sometimes I want to say like I do. I have talked shit about my coworkers before, but I just say it's like a gaming and pop culture and trending thing, just so that they get bored and leave me alone.
Oh, so then you say, oh, let's a deep dive into lawn care, how to grow and touch your grass in a way.
Look, as long as I bore them to a point where they won't look for me on the internet, I'm fine.
Yeah, but here's the problem though. Podcasts are cool now,
They
and
are.
so's
they?
gaming.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, they are.
Gaming, I'd say yes. I don't think podcasts are necessarily cool.
You're wrong then. You're wrong. Every man and his dog. Every white man, every white single male in lockdown started a podcast. All right, every one of them.
Yes.
Wait, did we start in lockdown?
No way.
Yes, actually, and look, we started after I moved in, just before I moved in, maybe. I don't know, something like
Shit.
that. But it just kind of reminds me though. It's just like people say that when you're on Tinder and stuff, and dating apps, and you're swiping, and you come across a guy, and it says like, "What do you do in your spare time?" And he goes, "I have a podcast." You swipe no.
You swipe the other direction.
Listen here,
It's a red
if
flag,
you saw
but-
this on Tinder with "I have a podcast,"
Oh, yeah.
I would definitely be intrigued.
She's definitely swiping right.
I don't know if it was Ellie's model or if it was intentional, but she just winked when she said that.
all
Look,
right, I got
I
options.
wouldn't say no.
Label tracking is trying its best. It tries its best with the
I know the
glasses,
feeling.
okay?
Podcasts
I wanna
are
say as
cool. All right,
No,
I'm sorry.
but it does bring me to another thing, right? I did see on Twitter, and it was kind of funny. A woman was just like talking to like a potential Tinder date, and she goes, "By the way, like I am transgender," and she was like a lesbian. And her person replies, "Okay, that's fine." But then she goes, "I'm also a Twitch streamer," and the person's like, "I'm sorry, I can't do this."
Yeah. I don't know.
Twitch streamers are out, right?
Is it a red flag? Is Twitch streaming a red flag?
People are starting to see it as a red flag because it's something that's a big time commitment for people, and some don't like the personality types that get into streaming.
You sure it's
So we're
not
all
just
fucked,
the
like,
great
it's-
press that Twitch streamers get for always behaving themselves and being stand-up citizens?
Yeah, well, there's that.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so podcasts is maybe a red flag, but Twitch streaming definitely a red flag.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Look, I'm just saying that you'll think that the numbers. And I'm going to go away and I'm going to do the numbers. I'm going to come back and prove you wrong because I think there's more people listening to podcasts than they are watching. You know what? The only other number that I can think of that's probably grown so much in like probably the last 5 years is audiobooks. Audiobooks are also just huge now.
Audible's been really like pushing it, so
They've been pushing it since they began. It's more around people are spending more time listening while they're working or in the car or like around the house. And like if you ever listen to commercial radio, it's pretty rubbish. Like in general, there's more ads than music, and if it's not ads and music, it's wannabe Twitch streamers talking to you. What's worse, a Twitch streamer or a radio host? What's worse, Twitch streamer or a radio host?
I think radio hosts can be good. It depends on what station you're on.
Yeah,
What
there's
station
plenty
you're
of
listening
stations
to.
where like
Yeah, what station are you listening to, Shelby? Let's go.
I
This is
don't
extra
really
good for
listen.
Shelby because she doesn't drive, so she's never like have to pick a station in the car. So
Well, what happens? Like usually you pick the radio station in the house.
I think once you put Trimble Elm on.
I don't know. It was the only one that came to mind. I used to be on radio briefly.
Oh, really? Go on. Let's go.
Local radio.
Explain.
I did like 2 sessions in local radio, and I was like a complete obnoxious mess the whole time. But yeah,
Yeah?
I just sometimes I get to a point where like I just panic, so I become like over enthusiastic with my.
So
panicking.
when you say local radio, like what? Like community radio or like ABC?
Community radio, community.
Community
So
radio.
like our town radio.
Okay.
That's questionable.
How'd you end up there?
One of my friends is already doing a
Okay.
show at the station, like a regular one, and brought me in there with him, which was a mistake.
Yeah, right. So I actually was on radio myself.
Oh,
Yeah, I was on the ABC, so the Australian Broadcasting Commission.
okay. You just have to one up me, don't you?
Well, they asked for kids basically. They wanted kids like school kids to come on. They had like a talkback show in the morning, and they wanted kids to come on and weigh in on opinions and stuff like that. Anyway, they pulled me in for this, and I sat in, and this it was like a building built in the 80s, and there was just like old nanas chairs and stuff like that. Like the ABC hasn't updated their radio technologies for a very long time, it seems. And they pulled us in, and the question they gave us was, "Is the increase in the popularity of cocaine affecting school kids?"
Well, what did you say?
Hell no! You think school kids could get cocaine? What the fuck? No, absolutely not.
Australia is like the second country in the world where it's the most expensive to
But
buy.
then I derailed them, right? Then I turned around and
course
said,
you
"You
did.
guys should really actually think about, stuff that kids actually are struggling with, and that is, taking up the habits of their parents and family members and doing things like smoking, which is very adverse to your health. Where cocaine might be a drug that's not great for you, but it's probably worse for your wallet than anything else.
Yes.
Shit's expensive. Where bumming a smoke off your old man because you can't be fucked, that's going to do worse for you than cocaine ever will. So anyway, I went on this tangent on the radio, and the people that were in the station totally fine. They all kind of nodded and like, "Oh yeah, this is good radio." People that rang up, they did not agree. They did not agree, and then they kind of just like shut down that conversation very quickly after one or two angry phone calls. And then I was on my way to work at the time. And then when I got to work, turns out everyone at my workplace listens to the radio too. And they all wanted to sit me down and tell me their opinion on the whole thing. So it was interesting, to say the least. But I don't know. I don't think radio's for me in general. I don't know. I think the biggest problem I've got with like commercial radio and stuff like that is that it's for the people and governed by the people that listen to the ads. Like that's how you get paid, is ads, obviously.
Yes.
Which means that they stay on the safe side of popular opinion, and that's it. They don't really do anything else. And then, you get other things like Triple J is a great example, where they do whatever they think is cool, which not is always the case, and not always popular. But yeah. So anyway, let's go back to the original question, which was, how do we describe this podcast?
Yeah, we really got derailed there.
Oh yeah, we got derailed, but we just so Tame, you all right? If someone comes up to you, they go, "Yo, I heard you're on a podcast. What's it about?"
About pop culture. I'm down with the pop culture.
Yeah,
Anything trending, we're there.
trending pop
Give me them
culture.
details.
Can you? All right.
We talk a lot about gaming too.
Well, the way that I've been explaining it is we're internet adjacent. Anything that goes on the internet has an opinion on the internet. It's stuff that we're going to talk about. So it involves just streaming, your gaming, celebrities to a certain degree, TV, movies, all that sort of stuff. It's popular on the internet. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't actually. You know what? It's scaring me because I think you've done a spell on me. But I can't watch anything anymore without a witch turning up in it. All right. I was playing God of War. Fucking witch shows up. I was watching some anime the other day. One of them becomes a witch. It's like what the fuck's going on? It's just go away.
They're all coming out of the woodworks now.
No. It's not that it's like you're finding witches and everything. It's that you're just noticing them more.
Is it though, or did you put a
Definitely.
spell on them to say, you go make him
I ain't done
more
shit to you.
susceptible to witchcraft?
You would know if I'd done shit to you. I'd be walking through the house chanting and making smoke and like throwing crystals at you.
I mean, yes, you did try to do a spell in the kitchen under the smoke alarm by burning stuff, which was
I'm
the
the
smartest thing you've
exhaust
ever
fan.
done.
The exhaust fan just happens to be next to the smoke alarm.
Because smoke alarms are in your kitchen, because that's where you want to know if there's a fire. Not that you start one
Put
there.
the fire
That's the
outside.
main
What do you
place.
want from me?
It does start.
But yeah, it's becoming more of a challenge because particularly when you want to like promote a podcast, which is a challenge in itself, because you have the naysayers like Shelby who say that podcasts aren't popular and you shouldn't be listening to it. Where I'm more like, hey, don't listen to Triple M radio, all right? Listen to a podcast. It's better. It's better, and we have new content, new with air quotes, new content every week. Sometimes not so much, but yeah. Anyway, but it's so it's been interesting. I've just lent into pop culture. I think is probably the closest thing to what a normal person say. We just talk about pop culture and trending stuff and everything else, and it's a lot of what we do is talk about stuff that are adjacent to what is on like Reddit and stuff like that. And a lot of good podcasts do that, and I've actually noticed. And again, it's scary. It's like witchcraft sort of shit. But like I saw something on TikTok and I went, wow, that's actually quite a funny I'd love to steal this and use this for my podcast. As I was thinking that and I was doing that, I was listening to a podcast. They started talking about it in the podcast. I'm like, hang on. And that podcast was like pre-recorded like 4 weeks ago. But the moment I thought of the idea and saw someone doing something similar on TikTok, they started talking about it in the podcast. I'm like, either we're with it and we're up with the times with them, or we're both stealing from the same. But yeah, it's an interesting concept. But it's a concept I'm going to save. No spoilers, but I'm going to save this concept for when I want Vince to be here in particular. It's going to ruin him. But yeah, so it's interesting. But I listen to, I want to say probably 5-6 hours worth of podcasts a week, and I got called out.
It's a podcast.
I got called out in the podcast because they were talking about like New Year and how they're changing things and stuff like that. And they're like, no one actually like logs in every week to listen to just our podcast. I'm like, fuck, that's me.
Why would they call out their most dedicated listeners like that?
Because they make other content. So they're trying to figure out if people come for their other content or for their podcast. Similar thing to like me, obviously we make random content. You know, and I kind of, I don't want to say I've been listening to like self-help stuff, but I mean listening to like how websites came to be and how they grew and stuff like that. So I was listening to a podcast and I watched a small doco today on how Netflix came to be, which is a great story full of twists and turns and everything else. I think the best bit was when they tried to sell themselves to Blockbuster. Blockbuster, like, the internet's overrated. No, thank you. They never brought Netflix.
And then eventually got to a point where there was a TV series on Netflix called Blockbuster, and it got cancelled after one season.
Well, it got to a point when Blockbuster went back to Netflix and tried to sell Blockbuster to Netflix. And Netflix said, no, thank you.
Hell no.
But it's is the thing that like got me from the whole thing was that it came from two guys sitting in a room going, the internet's going to make money. We need to make a product to sell. That's it. That's all they started with was we need to do something with this internet to make money. And then they circled around and it evolved from, you know, originally it was you pay, I think it was $4. You pay $4 and I'll send you a DVD. You watch it, put it back in the envelope, send it back. That was the original thing.
Yeah.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, that's how they started.
Iconic little like red envelopes that would show up in your mail with just a DVD in it, and you just watch
it. Yeah,
it.
so there was things like, and this is the great thing about the doco, is like they came up with all these ideas and they got some money, including from their mother. You know, it's like, Mom, I've got an idea. And they did it all, but then they didn't think of things like confirmation emails. They didn't have that system set up. So they had to manually type out confirmation emails to start with. And then things like cloud-based servers never existed. So the server was in their building. They had to buy the hardware and do that. And they went around it. But as one of the things they didn't... So when it originally started, it was pay $4 or pay like $30 and you can buy a DVD. And then what they discovered was that no one really bothered about renting it. They would just pay the $30 to buy a DVD and have it turn up to their place. Because back when they were starting out, Netflix, Amazon wasn't a thing. Amazon was a bookseller. That was it. That's all they did was sell books. In fact, early on, Jeff Bezos went over to see these guys at Netflix and said, hey, I want to get into selling DVDs and you guys have got the model for it. How would you like to, you know, name your price and we'll buy you out? And they said no. And they instantly regretted it because they're like, fuck, all we're going to have to do is compete with these guys. And that's why they stopped selling DVDs. And they just said, we're just going to rent it because we get more money per DVD if we rent it out a number of times rather than sell it once. And we don't want to compete with Jeff Bezos. So,
wise decision.
Wise decision in hindsight, but it goes through twists and turns. Like I said, it's quite amazing. But it's the I guess they're like points in their storyline where they made major decisions that went one way or another. And oh yeah, there's some great ones. So if you ever get bored, you just go through and have a look at the Netflix way of doing things. But it's kind of interesting because the point, like they made a point in this doco that I was watching to stop and go, if we stopped here, it would be a success story where Netflix comes out on top. You know, they made the perfect business model, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, but we didn't. We had to keep going because as we were wrapping this up, we discovered the trend was changing. And then there goes into this whole thing of everyone else starts a streaming service. which isn't a bad thing to have competition, not necessarily, but it is a bad thing when they take all their products off your platform and puts it on their own, i.e.
Yeah.
Disney and Fox
Damn
and
it, Disney.
all that sort of stuff. So, but it's completely told from a business standpoint, and to see how many times they like were onto something, and then they made either the right call or the wrong call, either way, and it just went down the track. But I think the best one was Blockbuster in particular. So they realized years after, and keep in mind, Netflix was around before Google. Like, it's ancient. It's an ancient. It was during the .com period where people were like, had anything that had the word .com in it, they'd throw money at it. It's like when Yahoo was the best search engine, or Alta Vista, or Ask Jeeves back in the day when you asked Jeeves where the things were on the internet.
Geez. Or what was the map one that everyone had to use? You had MapQuest or whatever. You'd
I
like
don't
print out all the directions to go somewhere, and like on a piece of paper and take it with you. I
So
remember doing that.
they were around for so long, and then when Blockbuster started to see the writing on the wall, and they're like, "Fuck, we need to do something here," they started mailing out DVDs as well. So they copied them, right? And then they like, "Oh well, we have to be just like them, so we're gonna stop doing late fees as well. So you can have it for as long as you want, as long as you send it back." So they cancelled late fees, and they did a huge advertising campaign saying, "No more late fees for Blockbuster. Everything's changed." However, in the fine print, if you don't return it within a week, we charge you the full amount of the DVD.
That's mean.
And then, like, if you're still, because they still had obviously bricks and mortar businesses, if you like hired a VHS, I know that's not going to speak to everyone who's watching this podcast or listening, but if they got a VHS and you didn't rewind the tape, there was rewind fees.
Yeah,
So
I do remember that, but I mean,
That's a scam.
it's
yeah,
a scam.
definitely.
And that's why, in the grand scheme of things, Blockbuster, which was a bigger business that had brick and mortar, had like, they had staff that could do shit, right? That's where they failed, was because instead of trying to do what your audience wants, they were just constantly trying to scam them for everything they got. That's it. That's what it boils down to. Blockbuster was always a scam. I remember, and last thing about Blockbuster, but back when I was working in journalism, at the youth place that I worked for, the youth organization, part of it was basically because we were government funded, and it was volunteer work essentially, right? So we try to get everything free, like everything we can, we get free. And part of it was we had a youth office that I'm like, oh, we should decorate it with some stuff that's not. We had literally like got a mistint from the hardware store. It was like peach colors. We had peach walls in this office.
My
I'm like,
bedroom's walls were peach because I got a mistint. Maybe
awful.
it's the same one.
Awful times. And so anyway, I went to Blockbuster. I said, can we get movie posters? Can we get like all your leftover movie posters and stuff like that? And they're like, no, we have to destroy them. I'm like, why? And like, oh, because people take them and sell them on eBay. I'm like, well, it's a youth organization. It's a volunteers, it's charity. Just give it. I'll put a fucking plaque that says that you did it. No, I can't do it. We've got to destroy them. So I went around the back and got them out of the rubbish bin instead. So fuck them. That's what I thought.
That's what I'll do. I'll like just wait till he chucks it in the bin and go grab them.
Yeah,
Oh,
it reminds me of
so
those like
stupid.
dumpster diving videos, which occasionally I'll get really into watching dumpster diving videos in America because they all go into like the makeup stores bins and like pull out full products.
It
and
is
and,
also
like,
on my
homeware stores.
it's in my For You page as well. And I think half of it's got to be fake. Like there's people that pulled a TV out, like a fucking 54
Yeah, some of them
inch
are definitely
TV.
fake. And there was bin ones as well where they go to around the back of like a pet store and they find animals in the bin.
Yeah.
And it's like I doubt that part's not real.
No, there was one that I saw, and it kind of I drew the line here, and they went around the back, and it was just boxes and boxes of long life milk. And he's like, oh, it says it was up good until yesterday. And then he just cracks one open and just starts drinking it. It's like, tastes good still. I'm like, nah.
I wouldn't
Drinking
do
milk
that.
out of the bin, that's where I draw the line. This is where I draw the line. But I like I'm not a big fan of dumpster diving, but I like the recycling of like hard rubbish and stuff like that. Like that stuff's, I think it's more important than people give, props to. I think too many people are like, oh, I don't want to put my stuff out in the street because if someone else gets it, they're not going to pay for it. It's like, well, you're going to trash it anyway. Who cares? It's just
Pretty
fucking
much throwing it out.
yeah.
Let
It's
the guy have it.
Like,
just let them
our
have it.
community's pretty good at sharing though, because like there's obviously the Good Karma Network page in our town, and people are always giving away free stuff there, which is nice. or they there's people who work for like organizations that help rehouse people, like at risk people, and then they ask for like, okay, I have this client who needs a couch, and everyone's like, I have a couch, take it please. So that at least works out
It's
nicely.
and you see it a lot. Unfortunately, you see it a lot in the gamer space, particularly with like computers and stuff like that. There's this mentality of I paid this much for it, so it's worth this much, and if you want it, you pay that much too. And it's like, okay, but if you're not going to use it, and it's just going to sit in the garage until it rusts through, wouldn't it be better to give it to someone, or even if you trade for something, like do something so that that item gets used rather than just sort of chucked down. I know that Linus did a great YouTube video recently where they go through all the like Facebook Marketplace, like computers and stuff like that, and they just pick them the bits and go, this computer is not worth $4,000, even though you spent $4,000 for it. Second you plugged it in and installed your games on it, starts losing money. It's not worth it anymore. It's secondhand. But people, they have that mentality, and like I've got shit, gaming shit that I often give away. Like even Shelby, when we were just friends and stuff, you're like, I like games. Like, oh, I got all this shit games that I don't need anymore. Here you are. But she
Put 'em all
gave
in
you a
bag
whole
and you
bag.
gave it to me, and one of
Yep,
them
I
was
gave you the Mr. Bean game.
Yeah, and then I moved it and brought it back, so you never lost it.
Possibly the
It's on the
worst
shelf.
game I've ever played.
It's on the shelf behind you. It's special now. It's special to me. Never getting rid of it because you've added sentimental value to it. So
Got a sentimental value.
It has sentimental value anyway. It was there was a Californian guy who used to watch the stream, and he used to make Mr. Bean jokes all the time because he said because I'm from England, I know Mr. Bean, which is just wrong in every aspect. But he watched all my streams, and I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna go find the Mr. Bean game, and we're gonna play it for you. So I went and got it, the Mr. Bean game on Wii, and we played it. And oh man, I remember that episode of Mr. Bean when you're in the garden, you got to fight the bees. Yeah, it's very much just like the show.
totally.
Oh man, it was interesting. It was an awful game. So then as soon as Shelby's like, yeah, I'll take any games you've got left over, I'm like, take it. I don't want it in my house. There'll be a risk I might play it again.
Yeah, definitely. I've also been that person for a lot of people who know that I might have like a niche hobby or something that I'm super into at the time, and they'll just give something to me. I think one of my coworkers was just like, I have some gaming stuff. You want it? And then brought me like a bag of random like Wii accessories. And there was a
Oh my
Wii in the
God.
bottom of the bag at least, which was nice. But there was definitely some of those like cheap $2 plastic steering wheels that you put the Wii remote into.
Oh my God.
I had more of those than I knew what
You
to
got
do
it from
with.
the market.
I have something. I have to vent so hard about something, but we're gonna take a quick
Steering
break
wheels?
first, and then we're gonna come back. And we're gonna vent. You just reminded me about something, and yeah, we need to talk about it. But first, we need to take a short break. We're back. So I want to talk about this, right? I don't work in games. I don't know. I don't think no one here works in games like day job. No one works at EB Games.
No.
Or
No.
apparently, this is what happens for many people that I know that do work at EB Games. So I've mentioned it. Is that people will come in to trade in stuff, and then that they just don't take anymore, like a Super Nintendo and some games, or a Nintendo 64 and a heap of games and stuff like that. And a lot of times it's like they're just cleaning out the garage, whatever, and then they'll just be like, "Oh, EB Games like we don't take this stuff back. I'm sorry." They're like, "Oh, just keep it, just throw it out." And that's what they do a lot of the time is they'll take like bags and bags of like these days even Wii's retro, unfortunately. Sorry.
People don't even know what they got.
They don't know what they've got. They throw it out. I'll take it. I'll be your garbage bin. give me it all. And I've got now like TikTok stuff where people will be at like there was one where he was at a garage sale and he saw like plastic tubs of Game Boy games and stuff, just thousands of them. And he's like, "Are they for sale?" And she's like, "Oh, we're gonna probably throw them out because it's the oldest son or whatever." And he's like, "I don't know what they're worth. Just get rid of them." And they couldn't be bothered pricing them all. And the guy's like, "I'll give you $400 for them now." Just takes them all. But it's like, there's a bit of back and forth and whatever at the moment with people saying that like the secondhand market for retro consoles is too expensive and they should be cheaper. Blah blah blah. They're expensive because the internet, and now there's not just eBay, but there's so many other ways to like search the market. But I remember when like eBay was starting out, and everyone else it was basically like, "Oh, the internet's a scary place. Never put your real name in the internet. People will find out who you are." And That was a great time because no one was using it and no one knew what was going on. And I was buying Nintendo 64 games for like $5 a pop. And it was so good. And it's like there's games that I got back then that are worth $300-400 now. Or you can't even find them now. But because I was an early adopter to eBay, stuff like that.
People on the internet, they know how to look up things these days.
Yeah,
So
it's a little scary when I look at my eBay account and I can see that I've purchased over 3,000 items on eBay.
that is a bit
Holy.
scary. Holy crap! I've been getting into a little bit more into the eBay stuff at the moment because I decided that
Too
I
late.
wanted to have some like fidget toys for my desk, but I decided I wanted to buy a nostalgic toy from my childhood to be the fidget
Too
toy.
late. Oh.
It's called the Elo Creation System. And it's not so much as too late. It was not a very popular toy by Mattel. Anyway, so I bought like a couple of bulk lots or whatever. But somebody's trying to like sell me, like offer me to buy their set that is like all wall pieces to build like a house, all walls. Can't do anything with that. And she's like, "This is definitely worth $50." I'm like,
Yeah.
this is I can't do it. That's
Oh,
not
it's the
at all.
same thing. It's the same thing with when we went and saw the 1986 classic Transformers the movie at the Astor Theater last week. Amazing. And they showed the toy ads beforehand, like the actual toy ads from back then. And you saw Optimus Prime, which I think a boxed Optimus Prime now goes to like $4,000 or something like that, and like unboxed is like $1,000 or something. I got Optimus Prime for my birthday when I was like 5. I think my mother's got a proud picture of me standing next to my Optimus Prime, and I played with it, but played the absolute shit out of that toy until it was like 15-ish, and then it was starting to break a little bit, and then people were like, "Oh, we'll get you a new toy. Just throw that one out." I'm like, "No!" So I buried it in my backyard like
There's
a dog.
Optimus Prime there somewhere.
Well, no. No, a couple of years ago, my mother's like, "I just dug up this Transformer." We're renovating the shed and we found the Transformer. I'm like, "Oh shit, you found my stash." But the thing is, I don't know. It's just annoying. It's again, it comes back to if you're not playing these games and you don't care, don't need to get. This is the problem, right? With like cash converters and all these secondhand shops and all that. They go, "Oh, I have this. I don't need it anymore." And then they go to eBay and goes, "Wow, it's worth $400." And then they slap $400 on it. And they stick it on a shelf forever. It's like, well, hang on. You don't want it. You're probably going to throw it out if it was worth nothing. You're not going to use it. Why not just sell it or give it to someone? Or why do you have to always try and rip everyone off? It's nuts. But yeah, it kind of still ties back to something I did want to bring up. And I know Tame brought it to my attention, and then all the memories came flashing back. But back when I was with this youth organization, when I went and stole Blockbuster's rubbish, we went around to the store because we wanted to basically we did film reviews and we did music reviews as well. And I went around to our local Sanity, which was one of 2 stores in my entire town that could sell CDs. Those CDs go for $40 a pop, mind you, because fuck Sanity. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah.
I think they were probably the biggest effect to they didn't know what the internet was, and when the internet came along, they said, "Wait, they're paying how much for music now?" Awful, but it's
Nuts.
They actually, I remember this fondly. They actually were really cool when I went around, and they gave us once a week we could go pick any CD we want. They donated it to us, and we could review it for the paper and stuff, which was pretty cool of them. And fun fact, where I'm living right now used to be a Sanity next door. When I moved to Melbourne, there was a Sanity next door, and it was the only place in this entire suburb where you could buy CDs still for $40.
It was always very expensive. Like my parents were big into music, so growing up we'd be at Sanity a lot, and I just remember as a kid like knowing it was extremely expensive.
Yeah.
So
for a lot of the
expensive.
things they wanted. Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy. But the thing was that I know that like JB Hi-Fi was a big player that came along, and straight away their CDs were $20. It was half price. Sanity still just kept doing Sanity things for the longest time. Even when like Amazon came along, they were still selling stuff. And then every single physical Sanity store that I knew disappeared.
Yes.
And I just assumed they were gone. And then
Well, it was
yeah.
like,
I didn't
how-
even think
how
there
many
was
were left
one
at the
any
end?
around.
It's like there was like 5 were there in the end or so, or smaller than that before they
Oh,
closed.
more than that. I think
Really?
they said
It was
there's
like
quite a
50 something. They just
Yeah.
they just shut down 50 of their stores.
I
The
can't
Yeah.
remember
last
the
ones
last
anyway.
physical Sanity
I'm
store
like,
that I've been into.
where the hell are these 50 stores at?
Yeah, same.
And like
Yeah.
shopping centers had really cheap rent who didn't have any other tenants coming in or something.
I
don't know.
remember, and it has to be the last time I actually walked into a Sanity store, and it was when it was across the road from where I'm living now. And I'd just gone to the gym, and I was walking back, and I saw they had a special. It was like buy one get one free or something. And I went in there and I picked up 2 Linkin Park CDs that I didn't physically own, and I'm like, yeah, I'll take them. And that was it. And I think Minutes to Midnight just came out, so that's a long time ago.
That is when the first Transformers live action movie came out around that time, I think.
Yeah, it was about that time.
Yeah, we're just talking about Transformers, so relevant.
Relevant.
I actually last ordered from Sanity a year and a half ago ish. I have to say that.
So
their
you knew
online
they were
ordering-
around then, because I thought they were out of business
No,
for
no,
10
well,
years.
I only ordered
Yeah,
on-
same.
Okay,
I
so
ordered on
no
the internet.
joke. I was actually just looking this up now because I do remember Sanity. There are 3 stores still in my city.
Go get a photo with them. Yeah, it'll be worth something, but it's just be like, yo, look at this
Be an iconic
dinosaur.
photo.
So I ordered with them like a year and a half ago. I have to say the online ordering process was bad. You could tell they hadn't really adapted very well to the internet. I ordered from them because I wanted a specific card game, which I ended up getting rid of anyway because the laddie wouldn't play it with me. But it was like a couple's like get to know you card game at the start of our relationship. And he's shaking his head. But I ordered it through them because it was hard to get, and there was like 2 months of delays on the package and stuff got missing. Eventually it got to me, but it was overpriced and it was a terrible experience. I just did not.
It'll be the same as every other business that was like, it was like Blockbuster essentially, right? It was a brick and mortar business that didn't know really what to do with the internet, and then they just would have absolutely. I mean, Blockbuster got screwed a long time ago, but this one, the Sanity would have got screwed through lockdown. As soon as they got told they couldn't do anything but be on the internet, they're like, oh shit. They walked down to their local bookstore and realized that wasn't there anymore. And then they looked up how to do online for dummies.
I was about to say that.
Like, even the experience like browsing their website was rough and just had a bunch of loading issues. And I remember not being able to find stuff that I wanted very easily. It was all round. Like you can see what has happened.
Yeah. The only time I ever like religiously went to Sanity was when it was my only option. And when like I knew that I needed to order something in, like I was definitely going to go to like a Sanity. But the thing is, I mean, JB Hi-Fi crushes Sanity in every aspect. Like every aspect. They do everything better.
I would say so, yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
JB Hi-Fi is where I bought my first album. Like my first ever CD.
I think I brought mine from Kmart.
Yeah.
What was your first? Hang on, what was your first CD?
Kelly Clarkson's Breakaway album.
Oh, man, that is
It was good.
that is you to a T.
No, but then my very next album was one of the ones from Be Used, and then I think in the same day I also bought a CD from My Chemical Romance. So I really did like a quick 180 with my music there.
Hang on. But you brought Kelly Clarkson first.
Yes,
Yeah.
like 6 months before that, I think.
All right, Tame, first CD. Let's go.
I bought Wu-Tang Clan 36 Chambers.
Oh,
That was my very first CD I ever got.
nice. That's a solid choice.
It is. And when
I
I
got-
first listened to it, yeah, it was good.
Nice. I brought the Eminem Show, my first CD, and that was because
yeah.
everyone was buying it. I was like, I have to be like everyone else. It's a fucking. I mean, for an album for amount of tracks to fucking hits, it's a good ratio. That CD, they released like 7 singles off it. Nuts.
It was a beast. It was a
Yeah.
beast, Eminem.
Fucking oath. Fucking good shit. Ali?
I never actually bought. any
I
CDs.
knew that was going to be your
Yeah,
answer.
that was gonna be it because like I
She's
never,
guy.
I never went out. I didn't have many friends. I didn't.
Do
go
you
out
own a
to
CD?
do that. No,
Do you own a CD
I mean-
player?
I used to.
Does your computer have a disk drive?
Mate,
Mine
I
doesn't.
think one does.
Did you like were you just like a straight to MP3 sort of person growing up?
Or subscription straight to Spotify.
No, I
Or
didn't do
YouTube?
Spotify until like way later on.
Were you just not into
Um,
music and you were alone with your thoughts for far too long?
I didn't
This-
really listen to music. I
I was
just
on
played games all
LimeWire.
the time. Yeah,
I was
so
gonna age check everyone and say, all right, who was on LimeWire? Napster?
Uh,
Any
I was
Napster?
on
Anyone?
LimeWire.
I was not on LimeWire myself until late in LimeWire's life, but I had my brother doing LimeWire for me.
Was
So
I the
that's
only
how
one
I
that Napstered?
I did
But-
Napster.
You did Napster? Yeah, with the
I
old
don't know what
plans.
Napster. I can't remember what Napster
yeah,
did.
I don't know.
It's all right.
That was a way of getting free music. I was
So
good.
LimeWire was like got around the system by saying we're just sharing files and just left it vague like that. Where Napster's like, we're sharing music, baby.
We don't
And
care.
obviously they got in trouble. Wasn't it? Was I think Napster was Metallica. Was it Lars that fucking brought him down in the end? Wasn't it? How that he like
I
was
remember.
complaining he wasn't making any money or some shit. I can't remember. Anyway, the guy. So don't cry for Napster. He went on to help found Facebook, so he's fine.
Yeah, he's
Yeah, they put him in that movie. Whatever.
Yeah, it was in that movie.
I
Yeah.
remember everyone in my like year levels in school, like year 7 and 8, had their USB stick, like the school given one, because we all had to get USBs at that age in our like book list. So we had all the branded ones.
I love how
That's
we talked on the
that's
last
my
podcast
age.
how I was like, our school didn't have a computer. Shelby's like, everyone had to have a USB plug-in.
But
And a
actually,
laptop.
everyone just used those USBs to store MP3 files, and we would just hand around everyone's USBs in like year 7 and 8 and trade music with each other, and everyone would just have big libraries because of that. So it's good.
Yeah, so we used to. This is gonna sound bad.
no.
So when I got to high school, and we discussed how in the last podcast we were talking about MP3 players and Discman and stuff like that. And this is still a pretty hot tip actually. But I had a friend of mine. He's like, "Oh, if you need music, don't bother about downloading it or whatever. Just go to the library. They got a full fucking range of CDs, and if they haven't got it, they got a budget to buy CDs, and they don't really know what they want to buy most of the time. So you can suggest them, and they'll buy them for you, and then you can go home and rip them."
I definitely ripped from CDs in my local library, but
So
not so
the-
much as a good one.
Yeah, the hot tip is they also sell games, guys. They not sell, but you can go and borrow PS4, PS5 games, Xbox games from your local library. It doesn't
My
cost you a
local
cent.
library
No way. Can
actually
you
also
really?
had
Yeah,
consoles.
absolutely.
As had
Holy.
consoles, including you can go in there and just spend the day playing Xbox and stuff. They have it all set up.
And a lot of time you could just do it all on the internet. You can go to your local library website and you can go, I want, like if you go there and, want Red Dead Redemption 2, it's like, okay, there's 13 people that've got it on hold, but you can be 14th and we'll let you know when it's available and you just go get it completely free.
Yeah.
No worries. And they have budgets. So what I was doing, this is a few years ago, when I have absolutely, I had no money. So I was like, man, I want to be a variety streamer, but I don't want to buy games. And no prick's going to give me a key. So I was going to the library and hiring 10 games at a time for PlayStation, and I'd play through them and whatever, and take pictures of them and put it for Instagram and Twitter. And then I'm like, oh, they have really cool manga and art books as well. So I went and got a heap of gaming art books, and I took cool pictures and stuff like that, just for socials and whatever. And then I went to them with a list of game books that I'd like them to purchase, and they brought them all for me. So I was buying the game, instead of me buying it, just to look at it and go, wow, that's cool, and take some pictures or whatever. I went and got the library to pay for them, buy them. I'd loan them, take pictures for Insta and shit, then give it back. Job done. It was great.
Or influence.
Love it.
Right there.
Yeah, they enjoy it because they don't know what they want to buy. They don't, they love the feedback or whatever.
Back when I could read and had an attention span, they did the same for books, and I was best friends with my librarians, always giving them suggestions, and they would buy all the books that I wanted, which oftentimes, because I was a weird neurodivergent kid with hyperfixations on different subjects, it would be thick ass reference books to random stuff like medical things and things like that, and they would order those for me too. That was great.
I think I got them to buy, I think it was the Final Fantasy Complete Lore art book, whatever. Huge book. It was $200. They're like, yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
I think I was probably the only one that got it out and took pictures of it and looked at it and went, oh, that's pretty cool. And then gave it back to them.
TLDR, support your local library and check it out if you want gaming stuff.
Completely underused resource. Okay, everyone goes, oh, libraries, they're full of old books and old people.
That's what I thought.
But yeah, at my local library, it's a little bit of a walk from here, but it's not that far by tram or whatever, and you can do everything online. You can put on hold 10 items at a time. completely free. Just go
I think my
and grab
favorite
them.
library I've ever been to was when I was in New Zealand. There was a library bus that would pull up in all the streets, and it would just be a bus full of books and stuff that you go in and rent from, because it was a very small community. And yeah, so I was just at the time my partner's house, and went outside, and there was a bus, and there was people going into it, and there was books, and I was like, library bus chain on that. I was so fucking excited, and they just drive it around everybody. It's just a converted like school bus.
Shelby's also the same person who we have like in our lobby of our buildings. We live in an apartment building. People like
Books
have a book corner where they just put all these books like Freedom, Good Home, whatever. Shelby's like, look, I found free today. Look at this. I'll take this.
And then I'll put them back if I don't want them in the end. But there's usually there's cookbooks. Some people put vinyls down there, DVDs. We put a few DVDs down there before as well. Yeah, all sorts of stuff. It's pretty nice.
We should put the Mr. Bean game down there. And
No.
Yeah, you should just do an experiment.
If we get married, we're gonna frame that and put it on the wedding.
No, we're not. No one. Why would you? No, that's an awful idea.
Just don't explain to people why it's there.
Yeah.
They'll be like,
Well-
what does it go with this, Mr. Bean?
It's interesting to see if anyone actually picks it up. I think people, unfortunately, I think what people would do is they would pick it up and they would put it on eBay and try and sell it. That's pretty much it. But it's again, it comes back to give it to someone. If someone, you know what? If someone came up to me and said, "Man, I've been looking for that Mr. Bean game for my entire life, and it completes my collection," they can have it for free.
I'd
I
say
don't
no.
care. They can have it.
How much are you willing to pay first?
I'm pretty sure it's very cheap on eBay.
If you really want it.
I don't think it is because not many people brought it. That's the kicker. Like it's supply and demand. If only 10 people brought the Mr. Bean game because it was awful, then there's only 10 in existence.
Oh, it's expensive. Oh, it's $50.
Sorry.
That's complete in box, or you can get it for $20 in like a random case.
Told you.
That's pretty
Fun
good.
fact: I looked up what it actually is, and it was like some game dev got the license, and they're like, "Oh, well, we're already halfway through this game, so we'll just make the main player Mr. Bean," and that was it.
Mr. Bean.
So that's why he's fighting bees in his backyard instead of any of the iconic anything that Mr. Bean does. Anyway, it is what it is.
So basically, if you get Elden Ring and download a mod that turns the main character into Mr. Bean, you're playing the Mr. Bean game.
Yeah, except it was probably, I don't know, some platformer.
Yeah.
Awful thing. It's on the Wii, was it? I don't think it was in anything else. I think it was just the Wii.
The Wii is rife with
Shovelware.
so, yeah.
Absolute shovelware. Yeah, it's, I don't know. I don't know what it's rated or anything, like if it got a good rating, but it's
I doubt it.
it's only ever come up because I watch a lot of like, most awful games of all time, worst movies. I've never seen it come up in any of those lists, so it can't be that bad.
It's rated 4.4 stars on Amazon.co.uk. That's the only part I can see ratings for it. You can also get it from the Gamesman at the moment, and some people have it listed for hundreds of dollars, but I think they're just dummy listings.
If I put
The
that
game-
on eBay for $500 and someone brought it, would you say yes? Did
No.
you say yes to
Oh, yeah,
$500
okay.
for
As long as
Mr.
I get the
Bean?
money and not you. Because it was a gift for me. It's my money's.
Was it a gift for you, or was it like I threw my garbage out in your direction?
Something like that. It is also $50 at the Gamesman, so
Oof.
fun times.
We could probably trade it in.
I want to keep it. It's a treasured memory. of
You're
a bag
never
of
ever
garbage.
going to play it.
It's like, okay, so when you gave me that bag of garbage, I gave you another bag of garbage in return that had a 3D printed tiny little baby Yoda in it. You have to keep that and treasure that for the rest of your life.
It's on the shelf. It's right next to
Good.
the bone shelf.
Good.
Don't worry about it. It's I was going to say if Shelby gets 100 subs on her channel, she's going to do a full playthrough of the Mr. Bean game.
I fucking would. I would.
You
100%.
wouldn't.
I would. I'd do it.
It's awful. I couldn't even finish the level.
Well, I have a strong willpower and short attention span, so I'm sure I'll find something in it that's enjoyable.
My God. Oh man, it's just so much worse. And no, I grew up watching Mr. Bean. I loved it. I love Mr. Bean.
Yeah, same. I love Mr. Bean.
Did you guys watch more of the cartoon version or like the
No,
IRL live action?
Ron Atkinson.
Yeah.
Well, I did both. I liked watching the live action, but I was in the era when the Mr. Bean cartoon came out, which is what the game is based off of. So I also
The game's not based off of anything. I think we went over that already.
no, but like the art and everything, that's the Mr. Bean like cartoon art. It's the same. Anyway, that's what I was raised on that, so I would watch that after school.
Rowan Atkinson's another great person to like look into how they came to be and how they got into their role and stuff like that, because he was like a theatrical actor who everyone just said, "You're too fucking ugly, man. You're not going to get anywhere." So then he like started doing like comedy, like stand-up comedy, and he created this Mr. Bean persona, and it just went crazy.
It was so good because
It
it's
just
so
went
good.
crazy. So it was originally like a one-man stage show, and then it got like a went to TV and went crazy, and then I
He
think
is actually a great theatre actor if you've ever seen his theatrical stuff. And
no,
he's
he
really,
got
like,
there. But he got that role from being Mr. Bean.
Yeah.
Like he had to prove himself doing Mr. Bean. But I think the biggest thing about Mr. Bean in particular was that you could put it in every country and everyone knew what was going on, because you don't have to
Doesn't
do
talk.
any voiceover. There's no talk. It's all acting.
That's the beauty of like slapstick comedy.
Yeah, basically. And like, I have fond memories of watching it with like my elderly grandparents and stuff like that. They loved it because they don't need to know exactly what's going on. They just see funny stuff and laugh. It's great. But yeah, it just went everywhere. And like they've tried to revive it with movies and stuff in the past, and it's not the same as the original. Never. But
No.
yeah, and it's like not only that, like TikTok, you see every now and then a Mr. Bean thing will pop up on TikTok, and you go, I know exactly what that episode is. That's the one when he blows up the paint can to paint his room.
Yeah.
That's classic. So, yeah, VTubers aren't real. Just me and Tame here. What you're seeing is a figment of imagination. No, we talked about this briefly. At least Shelby wanted to bring up at one point how Twitch put in a bit of a shout out, if you like, to VTubers and AIs in one sentence. Which apparently, like, I looked at it and said, good on you, Twitch. Ignorant as always, and just moved on with my day because it is what it is. But a lot of VTubers took issue with that. Am I right, Shelby?
It really riled us up, riled our AI selves up, made our AIs angry.
It seems like the connotation was that Twitch like assumed that most VTubers are AI or a form of some kind of AI.
But there is like a
which is really not. There's so many people that work on fucking VTubers before they even get to the point.
The reason people got really riled up about it is because a lot of VTubers lately have been called out and cancelled for using AI art rather than paying artists. And it's been a big like controversy within the VTuber community. That was very fresh and still happening, and like all that was going through, and people were stealing art and things like that as well. And then in the same week, Twitch was like mentioning AI in VTubers in the same sentence, and that was a mistake.
Yeah, see, I looked at it and just assumed that they were referring to like the people that do AI and do coding and stuff like that, and that's the thing, like Code Miku, for example, like the example, I guess. And that's all. I just assumed that was where they were going with it. But I can see the point of view, and I hate AI art with a passion, and I've made that known. I think it's a cool tool, and I think there's a lot of things that it can do, but I think it's also very dangerous. But I personally, and I have talked about on many episodes of this particular podcast, you find a good artist and pay them what they're worth so they will do your art for you. Otherwise, you're going to be left without an artist one day, and you're going to be very sad. Full stop.
Yeah,
Pay your artist.
Like I have an artist that I've been getting art from for the last probably like 5 years at this point. And constantly over these past 5 years, I've been like, oh, you want me to pay for this art and you want, say, $30 for it. All right, well, here's $50 because you're not putting your art value into your art, which is what it's worth.
Exactly. 100%. And
people like with people who commission me, and I've had some people repeatedly commission me for VTuber model changes and stuff, and they always like tip me big. And you know what? It might be part of like, because my big tippers are usually American, so maybe because tipping is a big part of their culture, I don't know, but I get bigger tips from them. So.
Yeah, I guess it's that tipping culture. But I think that the point remains that like if you want people to make art, then you need to support them. Simple as that. You know, if you want your Sanity stores to stay open, you need to support them. If you didn't know they were open and didn't support them, guess what? Now they're closed. So it's the same thing with everything in life.
There's still a couple here.
Not for much longer.
Not for much longer. The closest one to me is like an hour and a half.
Gotta go visit it. You gotta drive. Let's go.
Yeah.
So the scary
Currently having a
thing,
closing down sale.
the scary thing is that the AI. Well, obviously, we talked about AI art, and that sort of it became a trend, if you like. Everyone's went and punched their pictures into AI art. And went, wow, look how amazing this looks. Blah blah blah. Yeah, a hot tip: if you had have punched your pictures into an artist, well, maybe don't. That's probably the wrong phrasing. If you ever given your pictures to an artist, they probably would have made something quite interesting as well. Either way, regardless, then there was the Chat DDP, which we talked about as well, where you can basically ask AI anything and they'll give you a response. Like they'll use what they know, which is more than most, particularly around the internet, and then they will do it. And that's kind of evolved. People now. I mean, people will get in the right podcasts, you know, and then the next step is the AI voice. There's voice modulators and AI voice now where you can actually talk to these AIs. And now the latest and greatest thing is people that create a AI-driven VTuber streamer who reads chat and responds to chat, and is completely it's no person at all. It's just completely AI playing games on stream. So now, not only do you have to compete with like AI art, you as a streamer have to compete with actual AI streamers, who, given on some of the clips that I've seen, are hilarious.
Yeah, she just kept calling saying your mum to people, and then
Which is
announced
hilarious.
which is great. And then she announced to chat that she was pregnant and she didn't know who the father was. So she's great.
I don't know where she's getting their information from.
From chat. This is the thing. So she reads, like, the AI reads everything that is said, and like, and this is the problem with AI is once people figure out how AI learns, and this is where like the hot AI thing is deep learn AI, who they can tell fact from bullshit and all that sort of stuff. But if it's at face value, like you go, oh, it's a streamer, I need you to read chat and respond to it. Chat can just try to break them, and that's what they're doing. Is chat's going, yo, maybe you're pregnant, and then she's like, I am pregnant. And then they're like, who's the father? And then the bot's like, yeah, it's crazy. But like, it's the thing that got me, particularly that last clip that I found, was at the end. She's like, I'm scared that I'll drop the baby streaming. It's like, that is a valid fear. Don't drop your baby on stream. Yeah, it's like, I don't know. We might be at that starting stage now where we're just going to see the shit take off, and then they're like, it's a lot like just bots in general, isn't it? Like, it's just now that you don't have to compete with bots on like Twitter and stuff like that. There's actual bots now streaming content.
Is it in like 10 years we're gonna have to put like verified human in our bios and stuff? Or just
you have to send a DNA test to Twitch. I'm sure they won't fuck that up.
We'll just use the tag like organic.
Not a bot. Hashtag not a bot. It's I mean, it's scary. I didn't actually go and look up the channel or anything like that because I just been fed these clips and gone, wow, this is fascinating. But like, even in the clip, you can see like 50,000 plus followers already. For a bot,
I'm going to announce that I'm an AI and have everyone think that I'm just like a really intelligent AI, even though I'm a dumb human, and then get all the followers because they'll be like, wow, she's so smart. And like,
cool.
Yeah, that's exactly how you do it, right?
Yeah.
You jump onto what's happening, all the trends, and just follow what they're doing.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clip what Shelby just said, just at the bit that says I'm an AI, and that's it. I'll just keep.
I am an AI. Well, I can at least say that I'm computer generated.
Computer generated. Good. Get more sound bites like that.
We need more.
Yeah, it's I don't know. And like Shelby can back me up. Like years ago, I was like, yo, you should look at this VTuber stuff. It's pretty cool. And like they had what was it? There was I don't remember what the program's called, but you have the dog with the headset on.
Face rig.
Yeah, face rig. I was like, look at face rig. Yeah, this is funny. You should do stuff like this. It'd be funny. And at the time, we were just like, haha, funny joke. And then we just kind of went and played more GTA RP. And then that was it. But then now, VTubers are everywhere. Most people know what a VTuber is. I think you'd
And there's a
struggle.
lot of VTubers as well who don't really even stream, and they just spend all their time on Twitter and are basically V Twitters at this
So
point. You know,
this is the other thing, and this is where I kind of wanted to go, because obviously when I say VTubers are fake and AI, it's a joke, and obviously AI technology is huge for so many reasons, and like CES is on at the moment, and there's computers that have built-in AIs that can track if your computer is losing performance and what you need to do to, basically fine-tune the performance and make your computer go further. Is the AI will be like, yo, we're finding that your power consumption is a little bit higher. If we want to change the setting, it'll fix that for you. And it's like, oh, that's cool. That's what AI should be used for. And I think there's a future where AI is going to do it, but obviously people will use them for wrong things as well.
Yes.
But I think also we are getting closer and closer to that age of VTuber isn't just a mo-capped, thing. It's a personality or a persona sort of thing. Not a fursona, like a VTuber persona, where they don't necessarily have to stream or be on Twitter or anything like that. They can just be you, how you, represent yourself. And I think that's fine. I think I don't.
There
I don't
are
problem.
like most VTubers who take it really seriously do like a full backstory and do immersion only streams where they don't break character. I have
But
like a
that wasn't
friend
that
who's like,
how that started though. Wasn't that like the first, when people started doing like the full VTuber thing, they're like, oh, I have to have lore. Wasn't that
yeah,
like
people take it like it's role playing and take it really seriously. And I have a friend who is like like a moon elf queen.
you have
And
lore?
they,
Shelby has lore.
well, to the point where this person, if they ever slip up and say anything that's slightly out of character, they delete their VOD straight away.
Holy.
So it's all very intense. Whereas I've had people question like, if you show your actual face in like your profile picture, why do you do VTubing? And that I had that like exact comment on my YouTube the other night. And like at the end of the day, I don't feel like I can stick to being a fully immersive person or character in VTubing. I have a character backstory to influence the design of my character and like why she is basically a magician. Why is she a rabbit? Something went wrong is why she's got rabbit ears. But
And
ultimately,
teeth.
like, yeah, and a
Yes.
rabbit tooth. Ultimately, like for me, it's just like a fun thing because I get a huge amount of camera fatigue being in front of a camera as myself, and I'm super self-conscious. And people don't like to admit the fact that
Yeah.
might be why they're VTubing, but that's why I do it.
I only ever looked at it as like creative expression.
It is also, yeah, creative expression. I also like that having it has also made me get like into 3D modeling and doing like a lot of rigging and mocap and like all that sort of stuff, which I've been deep diving into this weekend. But learning skills, and also now people pay me to make them into people, like cartoon people. So that's fun.
Oh, Ali, how does that fall with you, fellow VTuber?
So like there's for me being a VTuber, is a lot of creative freedom. And as same as Shelby, like I don't like being on camera. Sure, I share like selfies of myself and everything, but then it takes time getting all them selfies to make it look nice to you before you can send it to everyone else. If you're on a live camera, you can't do that. It's just, and that's what I don't like.
If I'm ever like on
And
camera, I feel like a tension in my body the entire time.
yeah. You're just you're not really focusing on what you're trying to do. You're focusing on the camera, trying to make yourself look presentable to yourself before you present it to everybody else.
Yeah, and like that's a
Um,
good point as well, because when I used to do live streams with just my face in them before I even met Eladi really. But I would put on lots of makeup and put on different clothes and everything before I would stream, and I hated that pressure on myself.
yeah, that's exactly right. So yeah, for me at least, escaping to being a VTuber where everything is already set up to be how exactly I want to present myself. That's the best way for it. I am a VTuber that doesn't have a backstory. I'm just
Ooh.
myself.
Whoa.
You just happen to be a blue-haired cat girl inside.
Yes. Yeah. So I originally made this character. It's actually based off of myself. At the time, I did actually have blue hair. I've got brown eyes. All of that stuff. I have very my personality. You can compare it to a cat personality as it is. And that's
Yeah.
how I got the cat girl part to it.
I think a lot of that lore-based stuff is around people that, I suppose it depends on your creative process. Like there's a lot of people that are like a written word creative more than anything. Like they like writing lore and stories and fantasy stuff and all that sort of stuff around their character, rather than some people that are like, I just want my character to look a certain way and me be able to control it so I can tell my story. And and that's, I guess that's like you said, it's creative freedom. You can do a lot of things. And I've got a VTuber that Shelby made for me, and I've used it in streams and stuff like that. And I've definitely only ever used it as a tool of creativity, like to do something silly or whatever. I absolutely 100% vibe with the comment of putting yourself on camera. I know that I look like, I don't know what I look like.
A
Something.
Russian man.
Russian Lebowski today. And it's like, but putting yourself on camera, there is that chunk of your brain that then goes, well, you're on camera and this is how you look. And this is how people are seeing you. You know, it's just, you standing the right way. You look bold in this shot. You know, did you freaking forget to shave or whatever? That's like, absolutely 100% agree. And I was that person for the longest time. And then I did reality TV where they don't give a shit anymore and they just film you all the time and they don't care if you're bending over and showing your ass. They'll put that shit in front of TV and 2 million people will watch it. And that's when I realized no one cares. So then I just put the camera on.
No one
That's the
cares.
thing. Like my experience though directly said that people do care, because when I used to stream and Shell Bunny as it is now is my second channel, because I ran off a previous channel because people would make fake accounts to constantly abuse me.
So
and
the difference
harass
there,
my look.
yeah, the difference is there that people were coming to your channel for you and you alone, and they came for you. That's it, like simple as that. No one ever has come to my channel to go look at me. It's never happened. Never happened, never will. It's but yeah, it's again, but the freedom of being able to, like, it's one thing to go no camera and go, okay, it's just my voice and whatever. And there's definitely been some streamers that have blown up and whatever. But guess what? The people that do those no camera things, their peak popularity and pressure is always around a face reveal, you know? And they want to see it. And then when they do the face reveal, it always, like, it's a big spike in people viewing and commenting and whatever and all that sort of stuff. And that's not necessarily what you want to do as your content. Your content isn't a road to when they get to show your face, because you don't want to show your face. That's not the way to do it. So the way you can express yourself and be basically a person, I'm not saying that you're not a person, but basically an on-camera personality without having to be on camera, I think that's cool. And, you know,
and it's a good way to add like interactivity to your streams if you don't want to show your face. Like I love even like people using PNG tubers, which is maybe a character they've designed or a picture of themselves, like a drawing that's 2 frames, one with their mouth open, one with their mouth shut, and they just talk and it
It's
opens
cool.
their mouth. And I think that stuff is cool too. Like it's at least a good visual indicator that you're saying things. And it's
Well,
not just,
remember when they put in the Discord reaction PNG, whatever thing, every man and his dog was like, hell yeah, we're gonna have to do some community games now so we can show off this new feature that we've been wanting forever. And it works, it does well, and it's cool. But yeah, it's I don't know, I think it's cool. I suppose getting back to the point of things, I think the AI stuff's a little bit dangerous in terms of where that's going to go. Unfortunately, I think there will be some kind of, particularly like Twitch and stuff like that, there'll be some kind of regulation put to it. And I think, let me give you a worst case scenario and why I think it'll get regulated, and it'll probably it'll hurt normal people in the process. Let's say that the bots, they get very popular, you know, they start making money. Then what's stopping someone from going, I'm going to make 1,000 bots and then put 1,000 bots on Twitch, you know, and Twitch won't want to pay out 1,000 bots in subscriptions and stuff like that, and affiliations and stuff like that, and who owns the affiliations, blah, 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 blah. That's where it'll have to get regulated. When it gets, when it starts making money, basically. That's when it'll have to get regulated.
No, I agree.
And it'll disappear. But yeah, I think VTubers are cool. Like podcasts. Podcasts are cool too.
Cool, and we're real.
Very much real.
We did do a poll during the break, but you know, I don't know. The results somehow disappeared.
47% of people are wrong.
Wait, 47% of people said that you're real.
Sorry, 53% of people are wrong. I can't do maths.
Oh man. I've got one last topic I wanted to bring up because I've been watching, like I mentioned earlier, I've been watching lots of YouTube, still deep diving into some YouTube stuff, and you know, worst movies of all time, worst TV shows. My favorite one today has been worst fast food foods of all time. like their gimmicks and stuff like that.
Tell me
And
what you found. I want to tell you what you found. I want you to tell us what you found in the
well,
mouth.
hang on,
Tell me if I would
let's
eat
go.
it. I want
All
to
right,
tell you if I would put it in my mouth.
all right. Would you put this in your mouth? Donut fried chicken sandwich from KFC. That's right. Replace
Yep.
the buns
Yep.
with cinnamon donuts.
Yep.
I would fuck with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll take 2.
I mean, you gotta try everything once, right?
I don't.
Wait, did you? What? Yeah, who's eating it?
It's like, okay. So apparently, like, it's a real thing. It came out and it's come and gone and whatever. People said it was good. It sounds weird,
I mean,
but
people in America eat chicken and waffles with syrup, so like
they
same
had
concept.
more trouble trying to sell the double downs from KFC. And if you don't know what the double downs is, it's when they replace the
Oh.
bun with more chicken. So it's a chicken sandwich, but the buns are chicken breasts, essentially.
Yeah,
Chicken
I
on
remember
chicken.
that.
And but then they made the point of like it came out and left, and then it started populating around the world. And Australia, for example, we kind of bring it back once a year. So it's like we're okay with it, obviously.
Never had it, but I enjoyed the concept. But I never had it because I knew people would judge me if I ate it. But I was into
What, the
it,
double
the
down?
idea. Yeah, the double down.
That's not good for you.
No, it
Definitely
definitely
not.
wasn't. And I could basically hear like the already yelling at by my mother to not eat it. So I would.
Yeah,
I never
absolutely.
actually did.
But so I think that's the case worldwide, right? Everyone's like, this is not a good thing, and people are going to judge me if they see eating it, right? Then they realize that maybe Australia has like the like we don't give a fuck the most. It's like
Well,
I don't care what they say. I'm eating this. This is what I want to eat. This is what I want to put in my body. It's like yeah, but so anyway, it's the double down. Like I've had it once. I got to tell you, I had it once, and I was hungover, and it was amazing.
It would be good hangover.
Just so much grease. So there was another one that was that came up a lot, and it was around Pizza Hut mainly, and what they do with their crusts. And for those who remember, obviously they got stuffed
Hot
crust.
dog
Everyone knows what
crust?
stuffed crust. The hot
What's
dog
hot-
crust was in some places. Yep. Doritos was also in crust in some
I ate
places.
hot dog crust several times.
But the hot dog thing was an Australian thing.
Yes.
In America, they did cheeseburgers.
That sounds good too. I'd eat
So
both.
they-
I ate the hot dog
I
one.
think I've heard of that before.
Yeah. So they did cheese, and then New Zealand did meat pies.
No, I
Fucking
wouldn't
hell.
eat that. I think that's bad.
course
So they
they
had
did.
they had little meat pies all around the side of the pizza.
I feel like that just conflicts with pizza, right?
I think that's kind of the thing. I think it's kind of the reason.
Okay, there was hot dog crust pizza at Pizza Hut and Domino's. I had the Domino's one. So the Pizza Hut one was like mini hot dogs stuffed in the crust and standing lengthways, whereas the Domino's ones were
Like
like
the length,
pizza
wasn't
was inside
A
the
hot
crust
dog
and like
circle.
actually looked like a normal crust, but it was hot dog inside. I had the Domino's one several times.
They had,
The pizza one, you know that phobia people have when they see things with too many holes in it, trypophobia. The Pizza Hut the hot dog one gives me
real thing.
trypophobia feelings.
Yep.
If-
Yep. So the other thing was that, and I remember I saw it, and I'm like, holy crap! And it was like someone who makes, again, it was KFC, used the base of chicken to make a pizza. So it's
Yeah,
just a pizza.
Chicken pizza.
And that did come to Australia, and I did try it, and it was very disappointing. It looked
Mm.
much better in the picture.
It always looks better in the picture.
Yeah. One that did come up. This is a Taco Bell thing. I don't think we didn't get this in Australia. This is only an American thing. But basically, they made their, like their flatbed, what do they fucking call it? I'm forgetting the word. The
Quesadilla?
quesadilla. That's exactly it. Except the filling was Nutella and Kit Kats.
I mean that I've had something like that before. That's like like a chocolate tortilla is definitely a thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I would eat that. I think I've had that before.
I'd absolutely eat that. That would be the shit.
It wasn't like uncommon for me as well as like a snack to have a tortilla and just put like some Nutella in it, just instead of bread.
Yeah, I think a lot of the ones that were kind of most questionable were when they mix like sweet and sour and sweet and savory together. It's kind of like, yeah, it's good, but it's yeah, it's mainly Americans. There was one You might have to look it up, but the chain was Sonic in America. Sonic's, which is a drive-through fast food restaurant, and they did a pickle juice milkshake. So
A pickle juice milkshake. That would be gross.
that would be
That'd be
awful.
too. Although I know a lot of people really love pickles and like getting
I
it
love
spicy
pickles, but I ain't having it in a milkshake.
No. I saw some people who got married and they had a pickle bar at their wedding, so it was just all different
No,
sorts of pickles, and you go with a little jar and little tongs, you get your own pickles. People are
no.
weird. At least
Speaking
they
of
found each other.
food and fast food chains, America. You're out Sydney way there, Tame. Have you been to or have you heard about Cinnabon opening up in Sydney? Yeah,
I
No,
saw that. I'm
no, I
excited
haven't.
for
What is
Cinnabon.
it?
Cinnabon. Well, Cinnabon is like cinnamon buns, right? Just like that's
Oh,
all
yeah.
they do, and they're opening up. I think they're in Darling Square, like right in the heart. But apparently, it's like a 3-4 hour wait to get a Cinnabon.
Yeah, so it's just like cinnamon scrolls, but they have different flavors as well. But it's like all
Oh,
It's
yeah,
just
yeah.
cinnamon scrolls. But the
super good.
yeah, so I think I don't even think they've officially opened yet, but I've been seeing like TikToks and shit where people are like, holy, what is this line? It must be a fucking, a celebrity or something. Nah, it's just a line to get a Cinnabon. That's it.
I would try it. I don't think I'd line up for it though. I'd wait till it like gets quiet.
It reminds
Yeah.
me of when, God, I don't want to, hope I'm not making myself sound old again, but it reminds me of Krispy
late for
Kreme.
that.
When Krispy Kremes came to Australia.
Oh, Krispy Kreme. Wait, how long has Krispy Kreme been here? Because I thought it was always
Been
here.
here for ages now.
In ages now, but when it came, it was like Sydney had it first, I think, and they
It
had
was
one at
so
the
good.
airport. And what people would do if everyone had to go like a business trip to Sydney, they'd get fucking 2 dozen donuts and bring them back to Melbourne.
You put them on your
And
carry
then-
on.
Yeah, in the carry on, and that was like the thing. People were like, wow, Krispy Kreme. And then they opened up a Krispy Kreme donuts. Oh, somewhere out west of Melbourne, and it was like a drive-through, 24-hour thing.
I have been there. I think it might be Caroline Springs or further back, further
Something
into
like
the
that.
city than that.
But it
yes,
was
I have
like
been there.
the line of cars was disrupting traffic for donuts. And now they're everywhere. You get them in every 7-Eleven. They're absolutely everywhere. And then that's it. No one cares. It's no big deal. It's
Well, they're
Yeah,
better
no
from
one
the actual
cares.
stores. Like the 7-Eleven ones are usually a bit older, but like you get the really soft, fresh ones in there.
the same thing. It's
love
exactly the same thing as
I love
Cinnabon, though. Cinnabons come out, and there's people that are lining up, spending their entire day lining up to get one Cinnabon from the place.
Yeah.
They
It'll
look
be
bougie as
everywhere.
fuck.
Yeah, it's
looks
not
so
even
good.
bougie. It's not bougie. It's just American fast food. That's it.
That cream is. Oh man, I want one. Look at it.
Nah,
I did find as
can't.
well,
It's
by the way,
just-
because you mentioned about the KFC, the Double Down, and then
Yeah.
we mentioned about the Pizza Hut hot dog pizza. Did you know in the Philippines there was a Double Down dog, and it's a hot dog wrapped in a piece of chicken?
What?
I found out. I just had to look it up, and it definitely was a thing, and that's horrifying. I'll put a picture of it for your reference in the topics channel. But I want chat, and like the viewers can definitely imagine what that was like, and maybe even look it up. But
I don't
it's
like the
just a
sound of that at all.
flattened piece of chicken, KFC chicken with a hot dog in the middle of it, and I would eat that. To be honest, I would try it.
Why do I feel like I've seen this?
Oh man, it's in terms of like weird and wonderful foods and stuff like that. I think I don't know. It's they're gimmicks. Like I don't. There's not very. I don't get really excited about this stuff anymore. And go, oh man, I have to go line up for this chicken hot dog. What the hell are you trying to sell me? This chicken hot dog thingo. I don't know. It's yeah. It's oh my god. What is that? That's awful.
That's a double down dog. What do you mean? What is that? I told you, it's a double down dog.
So one more topic I wanted to talk about, and it's related. But so there's a TikToker, because I spend a lot of time on TikTok, obviously. TikToker the right term? Someone makes it. Anyway, his stuff's been popping up. It's been popping up in my feed for a little while. Name's Keith Lee, who does food reviews. And he's just what he tends to do is he just someone will be like, yo, man, this is the best fucking, burger ever. You go here, and instead of getting beef, switch it to chicken and get this sauce on it. You'll never, but whenever you ever see those sort of TikToks, he goes and he does it. But he goes, okay, I did it. And he goes to that restaurant and he orders exactly what they did. And then he brings it home and he reviews everything. He's just like, got there, it was pretty quiet, took me 20 minutes, got it. And then you bite into it and go, pretty good. Yeah, that's good choice. Very just no nonsense, right? Anyway, 7 million followers now. And
We're in the wrong field. Why are we playing video games? We could be out eating food.
Hang on. First of all, how many fucking years has people just been doing this on YouTube anyway, where they go and they get the fucking double down, they sit down in their car, and they're obviously on their lunch break wearing their fluoros. They're like, oh, biting into this. Oh, this is pretty good, hey. You know, it's this guy just, I think it's just the no nonsense that he's done that's really like spoken to him. But also, I think he's from like the Vegas area in America. So like he's got a big catchment of weird and wonderful foods and people. So it works well. But anyway, so now what's been happening is that like people are like, oh, you have to try this, you know, pizza place. It's just down this back alley, and you go there, and they've got the best meat lovers or whatever. Yeah, and he'll go and he'll do it, and go, yeah, that's fucking good. And then next day, that pizza place does more business they've ever done, packed. And but not just packed. Like these businesses are now coming out and they're like on the news and they're crying. They're like, "Man, my business was about to fail. Now we've never been busier. We're huge now. It's huge. And like it's not just one, dozens of businesses. He's just by himself. He's got an army of money to put into these businesses. So now he's gone to himself and like not just that. Like one of the things was like a Chipotle meal that he like does some kind of special, you know, menu hack to it or whatever, and it took off. And now Chipotle have got him in their ads, and he's like, yeah, that thing. Like he's got the original person who said it was a good idea, plus this guy who did the review in the ad, and like what we did is coming to the app. It's going on the menu, you know, and now the Chipotle's putting it out there. But so he's gotten huge, and now so then what happens when you get huge and you're popular and you're trending, right? Mr. Beast comes along. Mr. Beast is like, yo, we want to make a video. And he turned around and said, you want to make a video? I want you to go and pay one of these family-owned businesses, restaurants, all their debt down. So they're free now. And I want you to support them, and I want you to promote me, and I want you to promote everyone else. Then I want all these family-owned businesses. You're gonna work for it, basically, is what he said. And Mr. Beast, he did the eyes emoji. That was his response. And it's just like, fuck yeah, know your worth. I mean, this guy, he's absolutely nailing it, and he's a nobody. Like he's a you know, he's got a wife who's struggling, and you know they're living on nothing, struggling day to day, young daughter, and then you know his TikTok's jumped off now, and people are throwing money at him, and like obviously big corporates and stuff like that will be like, yo, come, you know, Pizza Hut will be like, yo, come try our hot dog pizza or whatever. But he's like, no, man, I'm using my power for the family-owned businesses that are struggling. You can all get stuffed, basically. And hats off to him. It's fucking amazing. And the TikToks that I've seen, like, and it's not professional or anything. He literally sits down at his kiddie's table in his kiddie's chair, opens up the food, eats it, goes, that's pretty good. That's it. That's pretty much it. That's the whole concept. Like, there's no production value or anything to it. And TikToks go way too long, and I sit there going, oh man, I'm watching this guy eat fucking tacos for 45 seconds. Why am I doing this?
Oh, bro, I've made those tacos you made where you dip it in.
Yeah, that's the ones.
Birria tacos?
I've made them. Hey?
Birria tacos. The ones
Yeah,
that are really
them.
salty.
I've made them.
I would love to try that.
That was so good, but they're messy as fuck.
Now I want to
Yeah.
eat food.
So, I mean, yeah. So hats off to Keith Lee on TikTok. Good on you for just making content and stuff that people like, but also when big boys and big business come and knock and know your worth and make them fucking work for it. Because yeah, too many people are like, particularly, I don't dislike Mr. Beast. I actually love his content. I think
He
everything.
probably honestly thought this guy was going to dick ride me.
Well, I
He's
think,
gonna say,
yeah, but that's what they do
But he's
normally,
like,
right?
"Fuck nah." Yeah,
Yeah,
pretty
normally when
much.
Mr. Beast comes knocking, everyone just gets on their knees. But it's like, this guy's like, nah, man, if you want it, I know what you're worth. You can do this. And I think Mr. Beast will go, I think Mr. Beast responds to a no balls with, all right, you're on. Because that just seems like the sort of attitude that he's got. There was a great mini doco. I think I posted it in the Discord, but it's like they followed Mr. Beast for 24 hours leading up to opening his first Beast Burger restaurant, like the actual restaurant. And it was great. It was a real good window to just insanity and how Mr. Beast copes with it as well. It makes him seem like more of a normal person because he's got his facade that he puts up as, essentially his online character or whatever. But then, like, in the behind the scenes stuff, he's still kind of the same in a lot of ways. And it did really well. But it was good to, I mean, him going and like saving a heap of restaurants that are doing it tough. I mean, I would watch that video. That'd be cool. I'd love to. There's nothing more than I love than seeing like family owned, weird and wacky, restaurants trying new things and doing really good things, and especially when they pay off. I always remember coming to Melbourne and like looking for a house and stuff, and having no money and whatever. And I sat down. I was like, I just want to get a pizza, and I went to this place, and this pizza, it's gone. Place is gone now. It actually would be just down the road these days, even though this is, we're talking a long time ago. It was called Mojo's Weird Pizza, and I remember sitting down and I looked at the pizza menu and went, "These are weird." And then I looked at the door, and it's still sitting on the street side, and looked at the door, and it said Mojo's Weird Pizza. I'm like, I guess that's what I don't know what I expected, but they had the Finding Nemo was the one that really stuck with me. It was a fish.
Nemo.
It was a fish pizza.
Ew.
It was a very weird pizza place, but everyone knew what it was, and it's like I remember this. So it was a long time ago, but this is how the world works in weird and wonderful ways, right? So I came to Melbourne, knew nothing. I was on that street because it was real estate agents, and the internet wasn't really huge back then, so like you had to go and get like their listings each day to try and find a place to live. I sat down at that pizza place and had a weird pizza. Fast forward 6 years, right? The place next door to that, the restaurant, the guy that was working there at the same time would become my flatmate, and that would live together for 5 years as well, and become a best mate.
Oh,
And and like so he was in that building at the same time I was out the front eating weird pizzas, and like little knows, 5-6 years later we're going to end up in a house together. And not like I met him because he was in a Facebook group with my partner at the time for uni, and he said that he forgot that he was getting kicked out of his apartment, and now it had happened, and he didn't know where he's meant to sleep when you're homeless. That's what he posted, and he's like, "I can come sleep on my couch," and I'm like, and then he was just sleeping on my couch. I didn't even know the guy at all, and he had let me paint you a picture, right? Man's 6 foot tall with dreadlocks down to his butt, and he's from Rio in Brazil. All right. People kept on asking what he's carrying, and what he was carrying was a half-finished arts degree. But it's when he was living in my house on my couch in this tiny little apartment. I was playing through GTA 4 at the time on the PS3, and it was like streaming because I would get home from work and he'd be like, "We got to play GTA 4," and I'm like, "Sure, man, I'll fire it up," and I'll fire it up, and he'd just sit on the couch next to me, going, "Oh man, I don't trust that Nico fella." And it was great. It was the best. So I was just like, "Oh man!" And then when I said to my partner, I said, "You should get a bigger apartment." I want him to stay. And then we lived together in like 3 different houses since after that. And he's one of my only friends that I barely talk to, but like he'll still send me a message like on New Year's Eve and stuff like that, and say, "Yo," he lives in Perth now, and he just plays volleyball on the beach and does nothing, which is how he likes it. So it was great. But yeah, it's the top bloke. For a complete, I don't know, was that like the universe or something? I don't know, Shelby. Is there some kind of witch power maybe? Or is it like I don't want to put any stereotypes. Is it a different witches? Do they have different witches in Brazil?
There's a lot of folk magic from Brazil, yes, but it's a lot of it's closed practices. So I don't suggest anyone but Brazilian witches to do it.
What does it mean?
A closed practice is like a culturally sensitive religious.
Oh,
witchcraft.
okay.
So, like some people oppose the burning of white sage because it's important to indigenous Americans. That's a closed practice.
Okay. Well, on that bombshell, I think it's a good time to wrap up the podcast. Unless there's anything that anyone needed to pick up in particular.
Can I tell everyone a spell I found in the spell book just before we go? I'll just drop it and run.
Is it culturally sensitive?
No, it's not. It's a Tuscan spell.
All right, as long as we don't have to find a murdered dead body like last week.
You might have to.
Oh god.
It's the same book, and it's the spell book that I bring out questionable historical spells from. This one is called To Make an Enemy Suffer. To cause suffering in an enemy, obtain a toad as well as some of the hairs of your victim. Tie them to the left leg of the toad and put the animal into a covered sauce pot. As it suffers, the enemy will suffer. When it dies, he will die. But if you wish your enemy only to suffer and not die, remove the hair from the leg of the toad and let it go. Anyway, so boil some frogs.
Vince would love that. For his ops. He'd love it for his ops.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't even know where I'd get a toad in this day and age.
Queensland.
Yeah, Queensland.
Definitely,
Yeah.
Queensland.
All right, we're going to burn our enemies in Queensland.
Uh,
All right, with that topic, let's go around the room and give ourselves a quick plug. Shall we? Streaming again after a small break.
Thursdays and Saturdays.
How was that game in one word?
Stranded Deep?
Yeah,
Boring.
excellent.
It was not a good survival game. There are definitely better survival games out there to spend your time on.
Yeah, we did spend 13 hours playing Raft yesterday.
Yes, which is also one of being abandoned at sea on a raft, and it was much better. So
Not only that, I'd just like to, and if anyone's ever played Raft more than a year ago, you haven't played Raft because this is so good now. The last act in that game is like, man, they got some confidence and did some weird stuff. It was really good. But yeah, we did finish it, Tame. If you're wondering, we're still going at like 1 a.m., but we got to the end. It was a wild.
Passed out.
Yeah, I was ready to pass out. We got stuck on the last boss of the game, and I'm just like, oh man, if we can't quit now, we're so close. We got there. It's a good, great game. So don't play Stranded Deep, play Raft. Much better game. Yeah, Tame, you back streaming? What are you up to? You still on holiday mode?
Twitch. I'm going back to work, so I'm gonna start doing shit. Start doing canvases online and stuff. So it should be
Hell
good.
yeah.
Chuck some
Hell
videos on
yeah.
YouTube.
Nice. And Ellie, no one here knows you, so you're gonna have to explain.
Yeah, that's kind of true. Yeah, yes. I'm currently taking a bit of a break from Twitch at the moment. Just got a lot of stuff going on right now, but I am planning to come back to streaming. I primarily do like Grand Theft Auto roleplay at the moment. But I do like to do a bit of variety. I like. I'm a speedrunner.
Hey, I was gonna say, I thought you were gonna forget for a second there. I was gonna say, and you speed run.
Yeah, I do speed running. I speed run It Takes Two with one of my friends. Currently, I believe we're still ranked 8th in the world for speedrunning It Takes Two. And I used to speedrun Monster Hunter World, which I think I might be getting back into as like a multiplayer speedrun.
Nice.
Yeah, so
Hell
that's
yeah.
definitely going to be something. And I believe I'm still like 7th in the world for Monster Hunter World.
I'll tune in for some Monster Hunter World. I watched
Yeah.
I think it wasn't World. I think it was Rise. I watched the Rise speedruns during Summer Games Done Quick. I think they had one, and it was
I
wild.
believe that's correct, actually. I know Monster Hunter Rise was speedrun most likely by Jal Bagel, I think it was.
Might be. Sort of I just should. It was wild. Whatever it was, because that game took me weeks to finish.
Yeah. But no joke. I managed to meet Jal Bagel both when we started speedrunning Monster Hunter World, and I was giving him tips and guides on how to speedrun Monster Hunter World.
Hell yeah.
Given like 4 months later, he took the world record.
Asterix. I want an asterisk.
Yeah.
I'll make sure that I'll check links in for everyone, and including myself. I am streaming. I think we had the poll just finished today. I did a poll on games that I started but didn't finish. What should I go back to? And oh my god, guys picked fucking Assassin's Creed Valhalla. There goes 100 hours of my life. That was by far the longest game they could have chose, and I think that's why they chose it. So I'll be streaming some Valhalla this week.
Nice.
I have done a little shout out there for everyone in chat watching live. They can go follow these people as well. But yeah, so thanks for hanging out, everyone. We do stream this podcast live every week on a Sunday, and we go up on every platform major podcast platform on a Monday. But yeah, if you want to see our faces or our VTubers, tune in on a Sunday and see that. And yeah, thanks for hanging out. Just in case you're wondering, just as a final thought, podcasts, they're cool.
And I'm going to become a AI VTuber who does food reviews.
Perfect. All right. Thanks, everybody.
That's kind of what we got over. Yeah.
Yo.